The Miz-ZOO Tigers welcome in the #1 team in the country, the South Carolina Gamecocks. And Carolina has the top spot in the AP poll for the first time since 2015, and they got there after another wild week in women's hoop. #1 UConn lost to Baylor, the third time a #1 loss this year. The door was open for second-ranked Oregon, but they lost to Arizona State. And then next in line, Oregon State would have been #1 for the first time in program history. They lost on Sunday to Arizona State, so here comes South Carolina on the slingshot from #4 to #1 after wins over Arkansas and Vanderbilt, and they have that top spot. Welcome everybody to Miz-ZOO alongside Tamika Catchings. I'm Eric Freed, and what jumps out to you, Tamika, about what makes South Carolina so good?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that make South Carolina so good, but I think the #1 thing that you're seeing is their chemistry. The way that they are sharing the ball, averaging 16.2 assists per game. They're sharing the ball. They look like they're having a lot of fun out there.
And the chemistry is helped by having some really talented players, including this remarkable freshman class. And Aaliyah Boston has been living up to the hype so far.
Yeah, 1 out of the 5 freshmen that they have, and Aaliyah Boston is definitely blazing her own path. This young lady comes in averaging 13.2 points per game, 8.8 rebounds per game, blocks. You see, she is having her way down low in the paint.
So Boston, one of that talented 4-member freshman class, 17th in the conference in scoring, leading the team in that category, top 10 in rebounding, 4-time SEC Freshman of the Week. So there are some freshmen for South Carolina we'll be talking about today, and that's the case for Missouri as well. They have a couple of talented freshmen, including Asia Blackwell, who's played very well, especially as of late.
Yes, Haley Frank and Asia Blackwell, like you said. Blackwell has come out and she has had to put this team on her back to an extent. Of course, she had Amber Smith, but the thing that I love about Blackwell's game, she's so crafty around the basket. She's averaging 12.3 points per game. She's having to bring the ball up. She's having to create shots on her own. But you know what? She's been doing a great job.
Especially over the last 10 games, you see the comparison as the freshman settling into her role as one of the leaders on this Missouri team. And it's been a different year for Robin Pinchton. Had that veteran group over the last 4 years, went to 4 straight NCAA tournaments, but this has been a different challenge for her this year. Dawn Staley has a team back at the top. Remarkable that they were never #1 in their national championship season. They finished on top of the heap as the national champions, but they were the #3 team in the country in the final AP poll that year. We are ready for Miz-ZOO and South Carolina. Missouri in the home white. Opening tip is won by South Carolina, and here is senior Ty Harris running the show once again for the Gamecocks.
Well, one of the things you'll see right off the bat is right there how Miz-ZOO, all the players are down in the paint trying to figure out a way to stop Aaliyah Boston. South Carolina does such a great job of scoring in the paint. They want to clog the paint up.
Bree Beal got in there for a attempted putback. South Carolina comes up empty their first trip down the floor. Here's the Missouri starting 5. 4 seniors and a freshman in the lineup. Tamika mentioned, too, we will see a lot of freshman Haley Frank. She's coming off the bench, but she, along with Blackwell, that 1-2 freshman punch and a turnover for South Carolina.
And if you're Miz-ZOO right now, Coach Pinchton has to be happy about just the excitement and the energy that our team has come out with.
Blackwell defended by Beal. Hannah shoots for Jordan Roundtree. Jordan Chavis is the point guard. She's in the corner. Comes to get the basketball with 6 to shoot. Little ball fake to get free for the game's first 2.
Good patience right there by the Miz-ZOO offense, trying to make sure that one of the things they talked about in practice, if you get the ball from side to side, you will make it harder for the South Carolina team to defend you.
Starting 5 for South Carolina has not changed all year. They have used the same lineup in all 18 games, 3 freshmen and 2 seniors, but it is a 9-player rotation. Dawn Staley will play just about everyone here in the first half. Amber Smith blocked from behind by Kiki Herbert-Harrigan.
Herbert-Harrigan, that player that you got to watch out for. She's so long, doing such a great job. And of course, you can't leave out another freshman, Zaya Cook, hits her first point.
It's a 3-pointer. She's the team leader in threes made and attempted, freshman out of Toledo.
the opportunity to watch her the last couple of years with USA basketball, and she is no joke when she gets on that floor.
This is the big concern for Pinchton, transition for South Carolina. They are so good at scoring in transition, and Missouri has struggled with their transition defense.
Coach Pinchton talks a lot about the good dead balls and the good turnovers that this team can have, and making sure that it is an actual dead ball turnover rather than an in-play turnover. Because South Carolina does a great job of getting out in the transition.
And they do a great job of locking things down defensively on the defensive end. Still getting a shot off with shoots off the mark, and here comes Harris. You can see they want to push off the misses, push off the turnovers. We mentioned the word patience when talking about Missouri. Pace was another word thrown out today about what was key for them. What else do you see for Missouri today if they're going to hang with the #1 team in the country?
Well, I think just kind of piggybacking off of the pace of this game, South Carolina wants to get you up and down. They want to get you in a race basically down and back. Mizzou doesn't have enough players. When you look at South Carolina, you look at their bench, you look at the players coming off the bench, they've got to be concerned about being able to keep everybody fresh. And this is a prime example of where South Carolina is so good. Herbert-Harrigan gets that block, and then they come down in transition, and Zaya Cook gets a wide open look on the paint. And of course, Ty Harris, she is the floor general. She is the leader of the South Carolina team, has been the leader for the last 3 years. She knows what it takes to win big games.
So here is Haley Frank into the game. Missouri runs their offense. Roundtree thought she got pushed. And here is Harris on the move. South Carolina wants to go quickly to Boston. Boston fighting on the glass. Still fighting on the glass. Aaliyah Boston getting some help from Beal. And now a foul.
Wow. Aaliyah Boston, the work that she puts in down low, able to get her own rebound, come in there, she keeps fighting. Another rebound. That's what Mizzou, they have got to figure out a way to box her out.
Now, the rebounding is going to be one big advantage for South Carolina today. Missouri comes in last in the SEC in rebounding margin at a -4, and South Carolina a +12.5. That's good for second, and you can see why with Aaliyah Boston averaging almost 9 rebounds a game, but big guards like Beal and Cook who can mix it up inside too.
Well, I mean, the downside too, when you look at the Mizzou bench, overall, you look at their team, they don't have a lot of height. And you look at Aaliyah Boston, not just her height, but even just how big she is, how strong she is, and she's only a freshman. So one of the things they talked about in practice and they worked on, and they're trying to figure out a way to collapse in the paint and keep everybody out board.
Chavis may have had an opening to the basket, gave it up to Frank instead, and it's a stop. And here comes Cook, who finds another gear. Couldn't get it off the window, but guess who is on the glass? But they call an offensive foul on Aaliyah Boston. Wave it off.
Trying to figure out on that. Aaliyah Boston come trucking down.
Haley Frank went down. Let's watch it from the baseline.
Yeah, Boston comes over just enough to get Haley Frank on the floor.
Frank averaging 12.5 points a game off the bench.
You know, an interesting thing we talked about to coach after practice, after shoot-around today, is Haley Frank, she should be a starter. And on any team, other team, she might be a starter. But on this team, she said she enjoys coming off the bench. She likes to kind of see the flow of the game and then get in the game and be able to produce.
Asia Blackwell fighting on the inside. It will be Mizzou basketball. Missouri 4-13 on the year, coming off a loss at Arkansas on Sunday. They led by 8 after the first quarter, but then Chelsea Dungy, as she has done throughout the last 2 years, went off, ended up with 38 points. Here comes Victoria Saxton into the game as Boston will head to the bench. Amber Smith comes back in as Hannah Schutz checks out for Mizzou.
Amber Smith, number 23, a player to watch out for, a senior, having to play a totally different role than she's used to.
That's a travel called on Roundtree. there's Amber Smith. So what is her natural position, her best position, do you think?
Well, I think right now her natural position is the forward, but she's going to have to learn how to be a 3 and a 4 and get out on the wing. And one thing that you know she can do, she can shoot, she can score. She does a great job of crashing the boards on rebounds and does a great job in her game. I think she's just a positive player.
Saxton and Beal again on the offensive glass. South Carolina getting second and third opportunities. South
Carolina continues to dominate.
Opening minutes here in Columbia. Quinn Lee for Carolina. Welcome back to Columbia for the 10th meeting all time between South Carolina and Miz-ZOO. Carolina has won the last 2 in the series, and they now have the hot seat as the #1 team in the country. We've seen this rotate through a few times this year. Oregon started the season at #1. Stanford then took over. They lost to Texas. UConn took over. They lost to Baylor. Now South Carolina has a top spot. And that topsy-turviness isn't limited just to the #1 spot in the country. With more, we're happy to be joined tonight by Andrea Carter. Andrea.
Well, Eric, you're exactly right. It's definitely not safe at the top for women's basketball this season, but it's not just #1. It's all across the board. Just last week, 11 of the top 25 teams lost, and 8 of those losses came to unranked programs. So if you're thinking about the top 25, it's going up and down all of the time. And one thing Coach Baylor's coach said is that there's no team that's head and shoulders above everybody else. She thinks there's 6 teams that have a chance at winning the national championship. She named Baylor and Connecticut. She didn't name South Carolina, but guys, I think we're seeing they have a chance to be that #1 team for a long time. Guys.
Well, I don't think Kim was trying to omit South Carolina because they're now the #1 team. I mean, thank you, Andrea. You could make an argument for 8 to 10. You could make an argument for maybe somebody who's not on the screen right now getting hot at the right time and making a run, Tamika.
I agree, Eric, and I agree, Drea. I mean, it is when you look at just the top 10 right there, and then you look at the top 20, the top 25 teams. You never know what's going to happen, and I think that's the beauty of women's basketball this year in particular, that there is no strong #1. Every team and every single night you just have to come out and perform.
So right now I think Dawn Staley is looking at the shooting number because the look on her face was like she was just sucking on a lemon right there. 2 for 13 from the field so far for South Carolina, and a lot of those opportunities have been in the paint thanks to 7 offensive rebounds as Beal off the mark at the free throw line.
I have heard from some of the teams that have come in that this arena, just playing in this environment, is sometimes tough in itself. And you can come in, you can have a great shooting percentage, you can have, a great team and all of that, but when you're playing in certain environments, sometimes it's just a little bit harder to get going.
And then there's the piece of playing for the first time as the #1 team in the country. Maybe sometimes you can change your game a little bit. It didn't seem that way today. Very loose team, and you mentioned it before right at the top of the show about the chemistry for the South Carolina team. You can really sense it. This is a team right now, and it's been that way since the start of the season for South Carolina. They played so well together.
Well, it's interesting because you think about it, they have 5 freshmen on this team, 5. And bringing freshmen into an elite program in itself is hard, but when you get 5 freshmen that can come in, that can gel, that can build the chemistry that they already have, I mean, that's huge.
That's going to be an offensive foul called on Herbert-Harrigan. Now we have seen Haley Frank take contact a couple of times today, and
Herbert-Harrigan got a little upset right there.
A little hot there. So much for team harmony at the moment. Is Haley Frank okay? Looked like she hit her head pretty good. Yeah, no question. Haley hit her head hard coming back, so hopefully they recognize that she's staying in the game right now. Wow, Kiki, one of the seniors here, just showing her frustration. Now the officials
want to take a look at it.
Huddling up right here. Are they checking to see? Go to the monitor maybe to check for the foul here. And Frank without question, hit her head on the floor. It wasn't that she got hit in the head before that happened, but we'll take a look at it again as our officiating crew takes a peek. Our officiating crew letting us know, looking for a possible intentional foul. Oh, there's Herbert-Harrigan turning around, so from that angle you see there too. She got upset, and then she got upset with her teammates. So the officials just letting us know. Laura Morris, Angelica Suffren, and Mark Zentz, our crew here today.
And that's a hard play right there too. You know, you go in strong to the basket, you get called for the charge. It's already a frustrating call right there, but the officials now looking to see if it was after the play, if there was another intentional foul.
So Asia Blackwell, I will say this in Herbert-Harrigan's defense, Asia Blackwell took an interesting route to get to her teammate on the floor. Incidental contact, so no additional foul being called here. So that triggered Kiki as she got bumped on the way over. Of course, this is South Carolina's first visit here to Mizzou since that memorable game in 2018 when Dawn Staley was ejected, picked up a couple of technicals. Crowd really got into it here. South Carolina was number 4 at the time. And Mizzou, thanks to Sophie Cunningham going off for 27 points, picked up the win. Foul on Amber Smith, that's her first.
And that's a tough call right there, trying to come over and set the screen, but I think it's even more important when you look at it, the point guard has to come and use the screen. In that situation, she gets Jordan Chavitz, or Jordan is round 2 is actually the one to force her into a foul.
Letitia Amir is into the game for South Carolina with Herbert-Harrigan on the bench. Now battle for the basketball, and the foul is going to be called on Nadia Green.
Foul number 10, Nadia Green.
Just taking you back a couple of years, 2017 in South Carolina's national championship year. They were number 6 at the time. They came here to Columbia. Mizzou won it 62-60. As you take a look at the series history, that was the Gamecocks' last loss of the 2017 season. They went on to win 11 in a row, ending up with the victory over Mississippi State for their first national championship.
You know, sometimes when you get a loss, it's actually the best thing for your team, because when you look at the South Carolina team and you look at how well they've been playing and how well they played together, sometimes you mask some of the mistakes that you make. And you look at the free throws that they're missing, you look at the turnovers they started the game off with, and you just assume that you're just going to brush that under the rug. But sometimes you need a game to just shake you up a little bit and show you the things you're doing wrong.
You can see the shooting numbers, not very good for either side. Mizzou hasn't scored in the last 4 minutes. South Carolina has been unable to pull away thanks to some cold shooting. Haley Troop into the game for Mizzou. She's averaged 13.5 points a game over the last 2 games, so a spark perhaps off the bench as Blackwell takes it outside and drains a 3.
And you can see Blackwell, you can see her face, you can see the intensity that she's playing with. This is the game you've got to get up for. I think Mizzou is doing a great job of just using the game plan they talked about yesterday.
Saxton, a little hesitation seemed to cost her on the inside.
I wonder how long Aaliyah Boston's going to sit over there on the bench before Dawn Staley puts her back in.
Boston with 1 foul, Herbert-Harrigan with 1 foul. Troop, defended by Harris. Blackwell trying to post up. Again, the shot clock winds down for Mizzou. It's down to 3. Troop's going to have to force it up. South Carolina gets the stop. Asia Blackwell, 25% from outside the 3-point line. Almost from 4-point range here.
That was set up, that was set up by that screen that she set. She set such a good screen and forced her defender to have to help over a little bit.
I should know better than to interrupt you when you're praising good screens, right?
I don't think we talk about screens enough in our game. You know, a lot of people are all about scoring and all about trying to figure out ways to get points, but sometimes the easiest way to score is to have somebody set a good screen, and sometimes the easiest way for you to score is to set a good screen.
Shoots. Frank gets free, made a nice little move, but couldn't hit the three.
And I think Haley Frank is at her best when her teammate penetrated and kicked the ball to her and she's ready to shoot. We got to witness that last week when they played against Mississippi State. The pace of the game, but she was able to figure out a way to get her shots up.
Destiny Henderson into the game for South Carolina. She has been outstanding off the bench for the Gamecocks this season. And there is a steal. And then a foul is called on Blackwell. Beal showing some of her defensive skill. That's 2 on Blackwell.
Blackwell playing with the ball a little bit too much. The ball just enough for Beal to get a hand on it.
So Blackwell goes to the bench with 2. Lily Grissetts, the junior, comes in for South Carolina. Carolina trying to get straight with who's coming out of the game. Amber Smith will come in.
Everybody ran out the floor, so I'm trying to figure out who wants to play today.
I think Dawn Staley wants to be on the penalty kill right here with the way things have gone so far here in the first quarter. Number 1 team in the country, struggling from the floor so far and struggling to take care of the basketball.
And that's such an uncharacteristic turnover by Ty Harris. She's normally really good at trying to find, first off, penetrating the gap and making an easier pass for her teammate.
Well, Andrea, so far, the intensity level's up. The scoring may not be up so far.
Yeah, and Ketch just said it, uncharacteristic of Ty Harris on that turnover, but I talked to Coach Jolette Law on South Carolina's staff. This was her scout, and she said Missouri has a tendency to make you play ugly. They're physical, they're tough, they're gritty. We've seen a little bit of that so far.
And they're forcing this South Carolina team to have to take these outside shots. You know, we've already talked about the fact that they love to get in the paint, they love to score down low, but they're forcing South Carolina to shoot outside of their comfort zone.
Zaya Cook will come into the game as Harris will sit down. So an interesting combination on the floor, but as we talked about, South Carolina, they'll play 9, so there's going to be some different combinations. Brissett, Amir, and Saxton up front. Henderson. It looks like Missouri's content to let South Carolina try to beat them from the outside. Try to pack it in, try to take that away. Henderson knocks one down finally.
Well, I think that's the key right there, is that they're trying to figure out a way to pack in the paint. But they're forcing them to shoot those shots. By the way that they're staying packed in the paint, they're able to also get the rebound and get position.
Inside of 30 seconds to go in the first quarter. Troop back outside. Amber Smith.
It's a good shot for Amber Smith. You can knock those shots down.
Cook down to 5 to go. Cook on the pull-up. Gets the roll. So after a long scoring drought for South Carolina, they get back-to-back hoops from Henderson and Cook to take a 5-point lead after 1. Their fewest points in the quarter so far, game number 5 in conference play. South Carolina, number 1 team in the country, on top after 1. Gymnastics takes over the SEC network every Friday night, and this week, number 2 Florida and 19th ranked Missouri squaring off here in Columbia, across the street at the Hearn Center at 7 Eastern. Then it's number 20 Auburn and number 7 LSU from Baton Rouge. Friday Night Heights also streaming live on the ESPN app. 5-point lead for South Carolina at the end of 1 quarter here in Columbia over Mizzou. 94 points per game, the scoring average in the first 4 games in conference play for South Carolina. They've gone for 90 or more in all 4 games so far. This was a departure from the norm in the first quarter for South Carolina, scoring just 12 points and shooting 20% from the field, Tamika.
Yeah, this is definitely rare that we see South Carolina in this. And then we just saw 0 fast break points for South Carolina. That is definitely rare when you look at that. 4 for 20, 1 for 4. I would say even the free throws, 1 for 6, 3 for 6. The rebounds is the area that we're used to seeing them dominate.
Yeah, +9. They had 9 offensive rebounds in the first quarter, and Mizzou had 9 total rebounds in the first quarter, but South Carolina unable to convert on those second chances. Boston back into the game after sitting down for an extended period of time in that first quarter.
And I think Dawn was making a statement when she took Aaliyah Boston out. You know, maybe she wasn't ready to start this game.
That was the message. Let's see if it was received. Haley Frank for 3, her first points.
And I talked about that in the first quarter. That is when Haley Frank, I feel like, is at her best, when she's able to just catch the ball and shoot. When her teammates penetrate in, her defense has to help, and then she's wide open.
It's going to be up to Frank and the supporting cast because Blackwell's on the bench with 2 fouls.
And that's what you're used to seeing out there, Blackwell making those shots. But Haley Frank, she's been able to hold her own this season.
Chavis picks up her first personal foul. Frank had a team-high 19 points in 16 minutes against Arkansas last time out, fouled out of that game. A bunch of fouls called in that matchup between Razorbacks and the Tigers. So Missouri hanging tough with the #1 team in the country. Andrea, turnover by Boston. Andrea, take it away.
Well, I listened in that last Mizzou huddle, and the energy is high, Eric. They feel good about that first quarter. Coach Pinson emphasized confidence, toughness. She said, shoot your shot and get stops. Heck yeah, let's go.
Sounds like you're fired up, Andrea.
You know, the more that you get to hang around Coach Pinson, you talk to her and you talk to her staff, you talk to the players. You know, she is that coach that you get fired up to play with or play for. I mean, the huddle, the confidence that she has in her players, why wouldn't you want to play for a coach like that?
And a turnover. That's number 7 for Mizzou.
One of the things Missouri has to be careful of is they do a lot of dribbling sometimes, and sometimes purposeless dribbling will get you calls like that when you don't have anywhere to pass and you don't have anywhere to go.
Henderson, offensive foul. Amber Smith takes the charge. We've seen Frank take a charge. Smith take a charge.
Well, this is their goal. The team goal for this game is to pack in the paint. You see South Carolina trying to figure out a way to continue to get to the paint. They don't want to settle for those outside shots, but Mizzou is forcing them to shoot those shots.
Smith tries to go up and under. Amihir stands her ground. Cook. Amihir will try a 3 and knock it down. Freshman from Ontario, just 1 for 5 outside the 3-point line this season. Puts Carolina on top by 5.
1 for 5, but you gotta love the fact that she just stood right there with confidence, stepped into that shot and got her shot off and got it in.
Frank, Boston got a hand in there. No reset on the shot clock, of course. It's down to 3. Down to 2 as Roundtree gets it off and missed the mark. Shot clock violation. Chavis limping a little bit as she heads up court.
And this is what we were just talking about in here. Stepping into that shot, knocking it down with confidence.
Well, she's still getting up to speed after an injury from fall of 2018. She had season-ending injuries her junior and senior year of high school, enrolled at South Carolina January last year. She's been coming on as of late as she's getting up to speed. Another putback missed by South Carolina. Missouri ball.
Now this is interesting. When you look at points in the paint, South Carolina, as many offensive rebounds that they have, they only have 2 points in the paint.
10 offensive rebounds and 2 paint points.
You can't say they're not getting on the boards already in double digits with the rebound.
Just 2 second chance points. 7.5 to go here in the second quarter. Nadia Green into the game and another turnover for Missouri. Tamika and I were here last Thursday when Missouri took on Mississippi State. And Mississippi State dialed up the defense in the first half. They turned Missouri over 18 times in that first half. I think Missouri was hoping that facing Mississippi State's defense would have them better prepared to take on Carolina's defense here today. We've seen some unforced errors, though, from Missouri.
Well, I think it's the same thing, too. I mean, they got 18.
Count it, and the foul. Chance for a 3-point play for Nadia Green.
Green for 2. That was the stuck with the steal on the defensive end. Being able to get her hands to the paint. Nadia Green comes out. Destiny Henderson with the foul, but Nadia Green got her
So Henderson picks up the foul. That's her second personal, so she'll go to the bench. Herbert-Harrigan comes back into the game. Remember when we last saw her on the floor, she was a little fired up.
It's interesting. Miz-ZOO, that you said, they had 18 turnovers in the first half last Thursday, only 5 in the second half. So even throughout the game, they got better. You look at Arkansas in that game, even though the game went the way it did, they got better. And that's something that Coach Staley talked about. She said, we know what it feels like when you have a great player that leads your team, and they're referring to Asia Wilson, of course, from Missouri, Sophie Cunningham from last year. There's always a little bit of a dip and always a little bit of a learning curve.
Herbert-Harrigan gets her first 2. Frank shut up by Boston. Boston just extending the defense out onto the perimeter. Green, Ty Harris back into the game, but Green gets 2 more. Go ahead.
No matter how the game goes, I love how steady South Carolina is. Leah Boston can't get it going down low, so she figured she would take it out to the free throw line.
After missing her first 5 field goal attempts, she gets her first points of the game.
Interesting, first 5 shots around the basket. Got to pull it out. Sometimes you just have to take a little bit more distance.
So you got to find it. The lid could come off from the outside. That was thrown off the underside of the backboard. Here's Harris. Looking for help from behind. Nothing there. It's Green again. Green against a very good shot blocker in Herbert-Harrigan. Just the idea of Kiki being around is enough to make you change a shot.
I was just about to say that Kiki Harrigan, she forces you.
Offensive foul on Boston. That's number 2.
And Boston, she does such a good job. Her body is so big, she doesn't have to go into Amber. All she has to do is literally turn around and shoot a short little hook shot. That's something Coach Staley talked about. I want Aaliyah Boston to learn how to just turn and use a baby hook or figure out a way to not have to use her shoulder to go in.
And that's a freshman big against a veteran senior who knows how to sell the contact a little bit too.
I don't know if she sold the contact. I mean, Aaliyah Boston is a big girl.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen her.
I have seen her. She's right here, and she's right in front of me.
And she just turned around, but she doesn't even have to go into the defense. All she has to do is go straight up. Her on a hook shot, she's already above anybody that she plays with.
Asia Blackwell into the game with those 2 fouls for Mizzou. Cook, Herbert-Harrigan. Saxton, second chance point there. This is the largest lead for South Carolina. They have had to fight to get to +7.
And if you just look at that, Saxton was down there with 3 Mizzou defenders. She out-jumped all of them to get that rebound.
She is the 8th different scorer for South Carolina already here in the first half. And there's a block by Herbert-Harrigan, her second of the game. 181 in her career.
And you look at Saxon down low, fighting for the board, able to get it up and in. South Carolina up 21-14.
Welcome back to Miz-ZOO Arena. It's a 7-point lead for South Carolina. There are several games within this game. For one of the matchup, here's Andrea.
Well, one of the matchups I was so excited to watch was the one between Bree Beal and Asia Blackwell, two freshmen, and you're going to hear their name for the next 4 years in the SEC. They're different players. Asia Blackwell is a little more emotional, plays off of her emotions. Bree Beal is more cool, calm, and collected, but they are both physical, strong, and tough competitors. When they get back in the game, pay attention to them guys. They're going to be fighting.
Andrea, were you the cool, calm, and collected type at Tennessee, or the exact opposite?
Well,
be honest.
I would have to say that Drea has a little bit of both.
You can turn it up when you needed to. We all knew Tamika was just, yeah, fired up.
I'm more Blackwell. Definitely more Blackwell. Calm, cool, collect, and I'm going to leave that to my point guard.
I don't know. I think, I played with a lot of emotion. That hustle, that defense, diving on the floor. I don't think I was very cool, calm, and collected either.
Whatever it took to get in the lineup, right? That's what you had to do.
Well, I think Beal, even though she's cool, calm, and collected, she has that feistiness about her. That's why she's such a great defender. She's able to get in people, and when she's battling other people, she's able to figure out a way to keep herself cool. And then on the offensive end, she can do her thing too. So it might just be what do you call that? Just a face. I don't know. I don't know what to call it.
I'm trying to come up with something to help you. I feel like I'm letting you down.
You are.
I'm usually a good assist guy, but not this time. There it is. Cook. Can't hit. There's Beal. Another second chance for South Carolina. Herbert-Harrigan will take it outside for three.
So if you watch that possession that they just had, every single player touched the ball. When Beal got the rebound, she swung it around until they got to Herbert-Harrigan for a shot in the corner.
I think that's one of the keys to success for Dawn Staley and this team. And you'll hear from her at halftime about this year's team, but everyone getting a touch, everyone feels involved, and that adds up to being a very selfless team, very involved team, and #1 team in the country right now.
Well, 16.2 assists per game, being able to play with each other and play off of each other.
Timeout called by Miz-ZOO. The Tigers daring South Carolina to beat them from outside, and finally some shots going down for the Gamecocks. Back-to-back three-pointers. And it, just like that, is a 13-point lead for Carolina.
Well, South Carolina on a 10-0 run, but this is the possession I was talking about. Beal gets the rebound and passes it. Everybody touches the ball until you get a wide-open shot with Kiki Harrigan. That's what they do. They share the ball with each other. And then, of course, this last pass, Ty Harris to Cook for the three.
Harris getting the assist. That's her second of the game. And that gives her 600 in her career. Second in history to get to 1,000 points and 600 assists. As Tamika mentioned, she was a freshman on that national championship team. Traveling violation, turnover number 10 for Miz-ZOO. And she has just continued to pile up the assists and the points for the Gamecocks.
Ty Harris is one of those players that you just love watching. You talk about cool, calm, and collect, and where did Beal get that from? But from your senior guard, point guard that's had to be in a situation, I can only imagine being a point guard in Dawn Staley's system, because I know how hard she is on a coach, on her players, and not necessarily in a bad way, but she expects a lot from her point guard.
Well, right on cue, Tamika. Harris with the strong drive to the basket, muscled it up for the basket. Chance for a three-point play here for the senior out of Indiana.
Gotta love those Indiana kids, huh?
I knew you're partial to them.
I think for Mizzou, one thing that they need to start doing, they got to figure out a way to stop dribbling the ball and pass the ball. Yesterday, they did a great job in practice of moving the ball from one side to the other side. Not necessarily dribbling, but passing, setting screens, cutting to the basket, using more of a motion offense, and they've gone away from that.
What's South Carolina's role in taking that away from Missouri right now?
Well, South Carolina's doing a great job. They're getting in the passing lanes right there. You see it, but they're forcing Missouri to make passes that they're not used to. They're forcing them to put the ball on the floor as well.
Another timeout called by Missouri as Harris on the run out couldn't finish, but Saxton running the floor finished it up, and South Carolina has stretched it out to an 18-point lead.
They're getting in passing lane, getting deflection, getting the ball, and when they get the ball, they go. Ty Harris misses that, but Saxton, like you said, Saxton able to finish it up on the board.
15-0 run for South Carolina. Missouri was hanging tough. They were down by 5 at the end of one quarter, got it to 2. South Carolina was struggling from the field, but this Tiger team trying to stay within shouting distance of South Carolina, but the Gamecocks on a run right now. You can see it's been a struggle. Missouri has played a very challenging schedule. They went 3-10 in non-conference play. This is the hardest part of their SEC schedule. They're in a period of time where 6 of these 7 games, this stretch right now, are against the ranked teams right now in the SEC.
Yeah, not the ideal schedule for them, not the ideal preseason schedule for them either. But yeah, I think when you look at this team and you look at the growth, they are a much different team than they were in the beginning.
Another turnover. See, in conference play, a lot of ranked opponents in there, and then the second half of the season when you would think this young team, and we mentioned they've got a bunch of seniors, but it's seniors in different roles than what they were used to in the past. Maybe they'll get up to speed. There's a foul and a trip to the free throw line coming for Victoria Saxton.
So one of the tough things, you got Amber Smith down low, basically guarding a 5. She guards the 4 and the 5 players, and no offense to her, 2 fouls on her right now, but at 5'11", trying to guard South Carolina, who comes with all good big post players, is definitely a challenge for her.
Ellie Brown into the game as Smith goes to the bench with the 2 personal fouls. Blackwell on the bench with 2. Chavis has 2. Green has 2.
South Carolina has more offensive rebounds, 14 offensive rebounds than total Missouri rebounds at 11. So they're trying to figure out a way to keep this South Carolina team off the board.
A 16-0 run for Carolina. Frank kicks to the corner, shoots, fake to get open. There's Harris. Good hustle from behind by Brown to knock it away from Ty Harris.
That's a good heads-up play right there by Brown. Just hustling.
Shoots, kicks it out, and a second chance here for Chavis with under a minute to go in the quarter. Shoots for 3. That ends the run.
And if Missouri wants to figure out a way to get back in this game, that possession right there is what this team has to continue to do. They have to get patient on offense. They got to move the ball from side to side, from one side to the other side. Make sure everybody is touching the ball. Eventually, the South Carolina team will wind down.
Down to 5 seconds. Harris regathered and finished. And that will do it for the first half. What a quarter for South Carolina. They outscored Missouri 23-10 in the quarter. They ended the half on an 18-3 run. take a 35-17 lead to the locker room here on the road. South Carolina's first game since taking over the top spot in the AP poll. Let's hear from Robin Pinchton. She's standing by with Andrea.
Coach, you held them to 12 in the first quarter, and then they got rolling. What was the difference?
You know, I just felt like when you can't match their baskets, right? We had some good looks and we didn't knock them down, and then they really get going in transition. And our just transition defense, we talked about that before the game. We got to get better. They're so good going north and south, and you know, just create some great opportunities for them, and then second shot opportunities.
And you called 2 quick timeouts back to back. What was your message to the team?
You know, we got deflated. Assignment correct, discipline, play off 2 feet, attack to kick. It was just the little things. And against a team like that, you can't let them get too far away from you. So just trying to draw them back, not lose confidence, and to keep their heads up and stay focused on one possession at a time.
Thanks, Coach. Eric, back to you.
All right, Drea, thanks so much. 35-17 our score at halftime with South Carolina on top. They are the #1 team in the country for the first time since February of 2015. And before the game, I had a chance to talk with their head coach, Dawn Staley, about taking over that top spot for the first time in 5 years.
#1 has been a curse for some. It's a blessing for South Carolina right now. How do you look at it as your team is #1 in the country?
Well, I mean, looking at how we prepped after we were, deemed the #1 team in the country, we were true to ourselves. We prepped the same way we usually prep, and in order for you to handle something as big as that, you got to get back into your normal routine, and that's what we did.
So you're paying attention to see how they acted when they found out they were #1, to see if they kept with the process that they've had since day one here?
Well, I mean, it's all in preparation. Like when we beat Vandy and we saw that all the other teams lost in front of us, we knew that there was an opportunity for that to happen. So we addressed it that night, and then we said it could be a possibility. If it's not, great. If it is, we handle it. We face the music that's played. When it was announced the following day, I was happy for our players. I actually gave them social media so they're able to just experience being the #1 team in the country. And then after that day was over, we went back and prepped for Missouri, and here we are. I don't even think they think about it at this point.
What is it about this group, this team? It seems since the first day of practice, they have just clicked and they've fit together. What stands out to you about how well they've played?
It's the chemistry. They genuinely care for each other. They want each and every player that sits beside them, in front of them, behind them, to do well. And they're super competitive. And when you have a competitive, highly motivated group of women like that, and the synergy is there, good things can happen, and that's what's happening for us. We just can't let any negative externals enter into the sanctity of what we built.
And it seems it's a selfless group, which has to be important because you bring in these talented freshmen, eating up some minutes and starting early. You need your upperclassmen to kind of check their egos. Have they done that?
I mean, so far so good. I mean, we talk about it as a team very early on. We said this is how it's going to be. Right now, it could change. If it didn't work out, we were committed to making a change that was best for our team. But everybody locked into their role, they embraced it, and everybody is shining within the role that they're playing, and that doesn't happen very often. We just got a good group of great characters that just want to win.
How important has Ty been? Because when she first came here, she was the kid learning from the seniors, but she's a connection to that championship team. Now she's, I don't want to call her the grandma, but she is the mother for this young group. How has she handled everything?
I mean, she has been as good of a leader as anyone could be in this situation. Obviously, there are different dynamics. Ty wants to play in the WNBA. She made that a known fact, and she knew it's her senior year, her last year. She wanted to perform well in a lot of different areas, scoring the basketball, being a leader, assist. So she wants to be that leader on and off the court, and she's been just that for us. And she's giving she's going back into her bag of her freshman year where she had to sometimes distribute and get everybody involved, and then she's got to be a little selfish, and that's hard for her to take big shots or to call her own number a lot more in a basketball game.
We're out of time. No time to ask about the Eagles. Sorry. Next time. I'll give you 5 seconds. You get.
Eagles are coming back. Super Bowl 2021.
Count it.
Number one cheerleader for the Philadelphia Eagles and a big cheerleader for We Back Pat. I mean, look at those Dawn Staley moon boots. We're going to talk to 2 Tennessee alums about the legacy of Pat Summitt when we come back. Columbia as we honor Pat Summitt and her continued impact on women's basketball both on and off the court. Number one, South Carolina with a strong second quarter, up by 18 over Mizzou here on the road. Tamika.
Yeah, it's been a battle thus far. South Carolina came out that second quarter and really dominated, but I think the biggest thing, the offensive rebound, second chance points, second chance opportunities. 14 out of the 32 rebounds come from the offensive boards, and I tell you what, it's hard to beat anybody when you can't keep them off the board. South Carolina doing a great job. But another thing that they're doing good is moving the ball on the offensive end. They're playing with each other. They're finding the open players. Although they only have 4 assists on the game, when you look at just the shots they've taken, they've done a great job of sharing the ball.
Second half underway here at Mizzou Arena. South Carolina shot 60% in that second quarter. They are plus 20 for the game in rebounding margin. Cook will try a 3. Andrea had a chance to talk to Dawn Staley just a couple of minutes ago. We'll get those thoughts in just a moment as Mizzou sets up here in the opening minute. Smith did not score in the first half for Mizzou. Blackwell tries it from outside. Boston's got a rebound. That's her 5th. Bree Beal, the leading rebounder for South Carolina with 8, to go along with her 7 points. Boston for 2.
And that's where I was talking about in the first half, Aaliyah Boston being able to just turn around and do a little baby hook shot. No need to drive her shoulder into the offense or into the defensive player. She's already bigger than everybody on the floor.
Blackwell blocks. Great defensive play by Beal. Herbert-Harrigan. Boston knocked out of bounds. It will stay South Carolina basketball. What did Dawn have to say, Drea?
Well, the first thing she said to me was pace. She said the difference in the first and second quarter was in the second quarter, they got up and down the floor and it led to easy buckets. She said in this second half, she wants them to trust themselves and find offensive flow no matter how far Mizzou is sagging off of them, guys.
Well, I think that's perfect. I think what you just said, Drea, and what Dawn has said, Coach Staley, I mean, definitely you could see the difference between the first quarter and the second quarter. Obviously, you see it in the run that they had, but being able to get the ball in the into the open floor and make plays happen.
Foul called on the drive by Blackwell. It's going to be Boston called for the block. That's going to be her 3rd.
Third personal foul. First team foul on the board for South Carolina. 33.
Sometimes as a freshman, you end up in the wrong spot at the wrong time, and that one, she just was in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
So here is Blackwell, top 3 on the team in scoring and in rebounding and assists.
We've had Mizzou before, like we keep saying. Last week we had their game, and you know this Mizzou team, and you know Coach Kingston is not going to let her team stop fighting. So they're going to come out in every single possession. They're going to play hard to the end of the game. And they believe that they can get back in this game. I mean, when they play together, when they move the ball, they are a really good team.
Harris, strong drive, drew the contact, and she'll go to the line. Foul on Chavis. That's her 3rd. So substitutions here for Mizzou as Haley Frank will come in. Haley Troop will come in as Blackwell and Chavis sit down.
52, Aisha Harris at the line for South Carolina.
Ty Harris will go to the free throw line. Outstanding free throw shooter, #1 on the team at 90%.
Well, that's who you want going to the free throw line. That's who you want to have the ball. But we talked about just those 4 turnovers she had in the first half. That's so uncharacteristic of Ty Harris in the way that she plays. She is that player that you rely on. She is the rock to this team and how she goes. A lot of the time, how the team goes.
Troop got half a step on Herbert-Harrigan and a foul called on the senior.
Good play right there. Good drive by Troop. Does a good job of getting back into Herbert-Harrigan. She knows she's coming. She knows she's going for the block. And she just does just enough to get that foul call.
Haley Troop, sophomore out of Alabama, gets her first point. Had a good game against Mississippi State, followed it up with a good game against Arkansas. First points for her. First made free throws of the night for Missouri as a team. They're now 2 for 5.
Look at the way Missouri is playing their defense. There's always a couple of people's feet inside the paint.
Another offensive rebound for South Carolina, and a tie-up. Possession arrow will give it to Missouri.
And here's the look at that defense. You talk about feet in the paint. Anytime anybody gets the ball down low, there's always a couple of people that dig in, especially when Boston's in the game. When Boston gets the ball down low, everybody's feet are in the paint.
South Carolina now plus 26 in rebounding margin. Smith trying to get on the score sheet, cannot, and Harris wants to run off the miss. Herbert-Harrigan runs with her.
Again, Herbert-Harrigan.
I mean, they want to run off the miss, off the make, off whatever you do. That's what South Carolina's going to do.
Well, the beauty of it, when you look at the lineup they have out there, you have Ty Harris and you have Zaya Cook. Both of them can run point guards. So when you have 2 guards on the floor, and then Beal's not a bad, any of them that you have out there outside with the exception of Boston,
Harris with
the ball up the floor.
Bounce pass to Cook. Defense into offense for South Carolina.
Got to take care of the ball.
Timeout called by Mizzou. It comes with 5:58 to go here in the third quarter. We'll take the timeout as well. Ty Harris joining the 600 assist club and adding to her career total with a beauty. Well, not a timeout. There was an injury, so I thought that Missouri was taking the timeout. We are back as Mizzou runs their offense here. Blackwell can't get it to go. Boston with the rebound.
Blackwell does a good job, though, of attacking the defense, trying to force the fouls. But really, in a situation, she's got to just be ready to shoot, be ready to score.
Missouri foul on #1, Haley Troop.
Haley Troop picks up the foul as Ty Harris
Second team foul on the night.
trying to take over the game. The officials are discussing if the basket should count. Let's see what happened here. There's Harris. No contact there. Before the shot, it looked like it was players getting tangled around, so Harris will now try to score, cannot. Foul on Troop, her first personal.
Missouri trying to figure out which play they're running, who they're going to get the ball to.
Shoots. Out to Frank. Knocked away by Zia Cook with 6 to shoot.
Good hand by Zia Cook. When you look at her play defense, look at her eyes, look at her face. She is so locked in on defense.
They try the lob to Smith. She can't haul it in. That's turnover number 13 for Mizzou. Well, they're trying to get Amber Smith involved, but it has been a struggle. She's 0 for 5 from the field.
Well, that was one of the questions that I had for Coach Pinson. How do you get easier shots for an undersized post player?
You know what? Hold that thought. Let's answer that question after this timeout. And I know this is a timeout. This one's going to stick. Joni Davis, who's number 33, was retired. She was the all-time leading scorer here until last year when Sophie Cunningham passed her for number 1 all-time. Andrea standing by with Joni.
Joni, you led the Missouri Tigers from 81 to 85, but you haven't been back here since the 90s. What has it been like for you being back on campus?
Wow, astonishing. I have had such a great time being here. I am so impressed with like the quality of the players, like everything they get these days, you know, like that we didn't get way back when. It's just amazing.
And you've got some nice gear yourself, so they hooked you up.
I got some Mizzou swag. I was going to dress up and look all spiffy tonight, and this felt really good.
And so for some people that may not know, you scored over 2,000 points without a three-point line. So for those that don't know, tell us a little bit about your game and how you played.
Wow. You know, I would call it locking on, and I just had the ability to lock on, and I just felt like if the ball, like wherever the ball was, I was going to be there and I was going to get it, and then it was going in the hole, and I was just so locked on. I had a lot of assists too. I wasn't a ball hog or anything like that, but I just remember like just that ability just to log on and let everything else go.
And for you, you know, you talk about locking on and all of the on-the-court stuff, but off the court, what was it like for you? What are some of your best memories in a Missouri uniform?
Oh, gosh. I would say when we were playing in the conference tournament my senior year, we were up against Oklahoma, and they were coached by Maura McHugh, and she was a good coach, but she would win by any means necessary. And allegedly, she told a couple of her players to take me out, and they did. Oh my God, they knocked me over, like would put their leg behind me and they'd give me a forearm shiver, and I would go down. The refs never saw it. I was on the floor so many times, and I just decided I'm just going to play the game. I'm just going to keep playing the game, and we ended up beating them bad. So like they couldn't knock me out of that lock-on.
Well, I'm glad you survived that battle. Thanks so much for all you did for the game. Eric, back to you.
I love how Joni recounts that like it was yesterday. that wound is still fresh.
By any means necessary. I feel like that's what we do when we go overseas. By any means necessary.
You know, it's interesting, too, because Joni wore number 33, obviously, so it's retired, but Asia Blackwell requested to wear it, and Robin Pinchton reached out, and Joni was like, of course, you know, it's just gathering dust up there in the rafters. Let somebody else play it. And you got one of the top recruits here for Mizzou wearing number 33 right now.
Yeah, I think it's really cool because they'll get a chance to actually spend some time together tomorrow, and you know, just a lot of their family, a lot of their things that are going on. I mean, they can relate, and it doesn't really matter how much distance, how much age gap there is. There's always something that will bring you together, and that number 33 is what brings them together.
Asia with 5 as Bree Beal will go to the free throw line. Actually, Joni was telling us today they played Southern California, USC. So USC is here, South Carolina. They played University of Southern California when USC came here as the number 1 team in the country, and they almost knocked off number 1 USC.
That's pretty cool.
Came up a little short, yeah.
When she recounted that story about what happened in the last second. They were down by 1. She said she had a wide open shot, but she saw a teammate underneath the basket. She made the pass, clock ticking down. All she had to do was turn and score, and out of nowhere somebody came and blocked the shot, and they lost the game. But it was cool listening to her tell the story.
3:40 to go. Clock running here in the third quarter. Here is Blackwell. Asia wanted that number 33. Her dad wore 33. Standout football player here at Mizzou. There's Blackwell with a strong drive and a finish.
Blackwell is going to be a phenomenal player as she continues to grow.
Herbert-Harrigan answers back with a 3. She's got a team high 12. Once again, balanced scoring for South Carolina. They're accustomed to having 6 in double figures each game. It'd be hard pressed to get to the 94 points a game that they've been averaging in conference play here so far.
Well, they said Missouri makes you play ugly. But I think for South Carolina, this is a good game for them to have. You know, you look at the score, you don't think that it's been a tough game, but it's been a tough game for them to get some of the points. When they went on a run in the second quarter and were able to go on a 16-0 run. But these baskets that they've had to score have been tough baskets.
Haley Frank took a tumble but scored. 7 points now for Frank. Herbert-Harrigan uses the Saxton screen.
Herbert-Harrigan growth over the course of her 4 years at South Carolina. You just have seen her continue to expand her game. Started really kind of being an inside player and had worked her way out to an outside player and able to knock down the shot.
Blackwell with a team high 9. 6 coming since halftime. Green. Can't get it. Doesn't give up. But then it's ripped away by Bree Beal. Harris spots up 4-3. Beal couldn't get it. Troop is hurt, grabbing at her left ankle.
No, that's not good. Not good for Missouri, especially considering when you look at their bench, they don't have a lot of players on the bench.
And Haley right away going down, and then almost got landed on as Beal and Blackwell were fighting for the basketball. Troop will come out, as will Frank for Mizzou. Trip to the free throw line coming up for Lily Grissett.
Just amazed at how South Carolina does, how good of a job they do getting on the board. I mean, they crash the board like none other. 43 rebounds to 19 rebounds by Mizzou. And out of those 43, 18 offensive rebounds.
With that free throw, Lily Grissett is on the scoreboard, and all 9 who have played have scored for South Carolina. Again on the glass, and another trip to the line coming this time for Saxton. Second foul on shoots.
You know, one of the things for playing, I mean, this is we back Pat, but one of the things that Pat would always talk about is defense and rebound. And when she would talk about rebound, she would always say it's a heart matter, it's a heart issue. Not necessarily, you don't have to be the best rebounder, you don't have to be the best at your job, but all you got to do is turn around and put a body on somebody. South Carolina does a good job of they're just really active. You see even that, they're always chasing down the ball, they're going at the ball, after the ball, but it's not just one player, it's 2 players, 3 players, but they crash the board, and it's hard for a team, but you've got to figure out a way. If I'm not going to get the rebound, I'm going to put my elbows and my arms in you and make sure that you don't get the rebound.
And for South Carolina, if you're not going to play with that kind of effort with this team when they're playing 9, your minutes are going to go down because someone's waiting in the wings on this year's team.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And that's something you can tell Coach Staley has preached to her team. We're going to play defense and we're going to rebound. And every single player that comes in from 1 to 5 crashes that board.
Couple of free throws for Lily Grissett. Destiny Henderson on the floor.
And we talked to the SID earlier as well at shoot around, and she was talking about the fact that every single night you never know whose night it's going to be on this team, and you might struggle and have a bad night, but you never really know it because everybody else steps up.
Amber Smith into the game. I did not forget to ask you the question again. How do you get Amber Smith involved? And maybe she just answered that question herself right there.
And then some of it is she's got to be more active. You got to have other people driving in the paint and kicking the ball to her, but she's got to be ready to shoot.
Whoa. From deep right there, she was ready. Pulled the trigger off the mark, and here comes Henderson. Shot clock is off, so South Carolina will hold for 1. Down to 7 to go in the quarter. Amir spinning and earning a trip to the free throw line. Blackwell picks up her 4th.
She thought that was a hand straight up, but Amir does a good job of driving the ball. When she does that spin move and gets back in the paint, she kind of goes right into Blackwell's arm. That's a foul.
Haley Frank will come on for Missouri. See if Mizzou can get up a shot here with 3 seconds to go in the quarter. Roundtree will launch from inside of half court. Caught some iron, and that's it for quarter number 3. South Carolina outscored Missouri 24-14 in the quarter. The number 1 team up big, heading to number 4.
What I try to emulate from Pat is when any coach sends me a text message, emails me, I try to get back to them as soon as possible. You never know what impact your words could have on a young coach.
Well, now that coaches around the country have heard that, Dawn, your phone may blow up a little bit, but maybe your phone will blow up just because of those shoes. Tamika, I'm going to call on your expert analysis to give me your breakdown of Dawn's shoes.
I must tell you, when Dawn came walking out with those, I mean, honestly, her little frame, first off, 5'6", she got these big old clunk shoes on, but I think it's really cool. Reebok Pat shoes, designed to have Pat face on them, just like the shooting shirt that they have. I mean, she always comes ready with the full package, the full outfit. I'm going to get you a pair. I've decided I'm going to ask her where she got it from. Get you a pair.
All right. I'm ready for it.
You look good in purple, Eric. You look good.
Thank you. Zaya Cook knocks it down to get South Carolina going here in the 4th. It was a slow start for the number 1 team in the country. Shot 20% in the first quarter. They were only up by 5 after 1, but a 16-0 run in the second quarter got Carolina going. They've stretched it out here in the second half, and they continue to add to it with Cook.
Zaya Cook, so dangerous when she gets to the middle of that zone. Gets to the middle of the floor, able to get that nice little pull-up, but, when you watch her, she can score, she can take it to the basket. She's got that mid-range game. She can knock down 3. And I know I've said this before, but she's only a freshman. So we will continue to watch her for the next 3 years and see her growth.
Cook lost the handle, picked up by Roundtree. Roundtree is fouled. Well, you heard what Dawn Staley had to say about Pat Summitt's influence on her, and we all know Dawn, an elite player, an elite coach. Looks like she has an elite level headache right now. But you can see the Dawn Staley effect. And I was shocked when it came out this week that they were the #1 team in the country for the first time since the 2014-2015 season. I'm like, wait a minute, they won the national championship, but they clawed up in the polls a few times, but got pushed back, including when they came here to Missouri and had that 11-game winning streak to close out the season, picking up that national championship.
Well, when you have Dawn intensity, you have her work ethic, you have everything that she has brought to this game. When you take that and you put that into your teammate or into your team, which is what you watch her do. When I watch this team, I see Dawn and I see her impact and her influence. And, you know, even when we went to shoot around, the way that she loved her team. And, you know, earlier Coach Pinkerton talked about relationships. You can tell she has a great relationship with her players, with her coaching staff, and it just goes through the whole team.
Me here with the offensive foul. Now, your connection with Dawn, you had a connection with her as a player when she was wrapping up her playing career when you're playing for Team USA, right? And then she was one of your coaches when you were wrapping up with Team USA.
It's crazy. She's been with me from the beginning to the end, right, of my professional career. I mean, literally got drafted in 2001, made the 2002 World Championship team, had the opportunity to play with Dawn, my heroes, my sheroes, Dawn, Lisa, and Cheryl, and then got to do the Olympic team with them. That was my first time with Dawn. And of course, at the end, 2016 Olympic, she was now on the other side. Like that was, she started as my teammate, and then she became one of my assistant coaches. But I swear, like I learned so much. I learned so much from her about what it takes to be a great leader on the court. I mean, I never really knew that I had a voice until watching Dawn, watching her impact, watching how she worked with some of the other players. That is what gave me a voice when I went back to Indiana and played. And then, of course, at the end, it was a tough Olympic year, 2016, personally. But she was in the gym with me on off days. Before practice, she was shooting with me. After practice, she was, you know, not shooting with me, but rebounding for me. And just had a huge impact on me. That's what you talk about, great. Dawn Staley.
Smith can hit. Henderson with the rebound. Put it on the money to Ami here. And she'll go to the free throw line, shoot a couple.
And I think for Amber Smith, one thing that I would like to see her do is just picked up her fourth foul. But one thing I would like to see her do on offense, or maybe even started on defense, trying to figure out ways to get steals. When you get to the offensive end, she's so good at her post-up. The problem is she's an undersized post player, trying to go up against, you know, Lily Brissett and Victoria Saxton. She wants to pull them out and then drive to the basket.
Last touch by Brissett. It'll be Mizzou basketball. You know, one final thought on Dawn and this year's team as Beal comes into the game. That this team is kind of advanced where how they think the game. She says they're great in the classroom, one of the best teams she's ever had when it comes to that. And when they show up for practice, it's all about basketball, and it's almost like next level thinking, like in the film room. Like she's being challenged by this group to, what'd she say, to dig deeper into her bag of tricks to coach this team. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she said the basketball IQ, and she said this is one of the few years she feels like she just has to focus on X's and O's. And if you understand what that means, when you have 5 freshmen that come in, not having to deal with the outside issues.
Dre, you can jump in.
Well, you're talking about how committed this team is to practice, and their theme this year is actually Women Up. And it's all about coming into each practice and each game with a focus, discipline, and trusting mindset. And Dawn said they've embraced the process and been committed to hard work. And that's why she said they have the #1 spot in the rankings this week.
Well, right there, you look at Ty Harris sitting on the bench, and she's one of the leaders of this team.
Mayhere can't get the putback. Saxton continues to fight, tied up by Roundtree. Possession arrow will give it to the Tigers. Haley Frank will bring it across for Mizzou. Back for Chavis, who's playing with 4 fouls. Brown gives it up for Smith. And a foul called on South Carolina. I think it's on Sexton on the cut.
When you play a good team like this, it's imperative that you set good screens. And we talked about it from the South Carolina side earlier in the game. But Mizzou, when they set good screens, good things happen. When they brush by each other, bad things.
Another foul called on South Carolina. Percent picks up the personal. That's going to be number 5 on South Carolina. So Mizzou shooting free throws the rest of the way. And it'll be Jordan Roundtree stepping to the line. Now, we talked about it earlier, just the remarkable run over the last 4 years for Mizzou. Led by Sophie Cunningham, the 4-year starter, scored over 2,000 points, but Lauren Aldridge was a 2-year starter. Sierra Porter had over 100 starts. That veteran group is done, and now Missouri trying to get back up to speed as Saxton takes it inside for 2.
And Coach Pinkerton kept talking. She said, look, we are not in a rebuilding year. Every single program goes through the highs and lows. When you have players that are super successful, you look at from South Carolina, Asia Jones, when she graduated, a little bit of a dip for South Carolina, and then they're back. Missouri, Sophie Cunningham.
Asia Wilson.
Asia Wilson. What did I say?
Asia Jones.
Asia Jones. Asia Wilson, sorry. Graduated.
Just before Asia Wilson texted you and said, what?
What? That's not my name.
Go back the other way. That's a foul called on South Carolina. We'll go down and shoot free throws. Well, from the Mizzou point of view, and you mentioned those players that they tried to replace, and this is the legacy that group left with 22 wins or more in each season, getting to the NCAA tournament. And like Robin said, this is uncharted territory for Missouri, but they want to stay true to the process. And really, having that mindset of like, and she talked to Dre about it at halftime, just possession by possession and day by day. And hey, who knows what could happen in March? You got to stay in the fight here this season for Mizzou, and that's what she's trying to do with this team.
And definitely stay with it. You can't just flip the switch up when you get to the SEC tournament and then start playing in a new season. Every single game you have an opportunity to get better. And then by the time you get to that SEC tournament, anything can happen. I mean, we've seen it in past. That's why they always talk about tournament play and what can happen in tournament play. And every game you have to be ready to play.
Look at Arkansas last year. Perfect example, Tamika.
Cinderella season, you just never know. So she said she wants her team to continue to grow, and every single game, every single opportunity they have to come out, she wants them to go home.
Roundtree checks out. She has 6. And me here goes for a trip. Well, trip and then a run. Goes for a tumble. However you say it, it's travel. Well, South Carolina with more turnovers than Mizzou, but the big number again is rebounding margin. Plus 27 for South Carolina in that category. Percent picks up the foul.
Second personal foul. Number 10, Nani Green. The score for charity stripe shooting 2.
Interestingly enough, when you look at Missouri and you look at they're 12 for 45, and then free throws, they're 10 for 16 now, 10 for 15. So they've had opportunities and they've had good looks and open looks. They just haven't been able to convert. Now in the meantime, South Carolina has done a great job of defending, and so maybe some of the shots that Missouri's had to take a harder shot than they're used to taking.
Blackwell, the leading scorer for Mizzou with 9. Boston posts up inside, and she gets it that deep, it's over. Boston with 6 to go along with 9 rebounds. Double-double for Victoria Saxton off the bench. She has 10 and 10. Bree Beal has 11 boards. Blackwell can add to her total. It will remain Missouri basketball, but first a timeout comes with 4:43 to go in the fourth. At number 1, South Carolina rolling here in Columbia. South Carolina on top big here in the fourth quarter as we take a look at winning with style, brought to you by Belk. Whose style is fitting your eye here tonight, Tamika?
Oh, of course, Ty Harris, and you watch the way this young lady plays this game. It's so fun to watch. Right now, she has 11 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists. So we know what she can do individually. We know how she can score. She can get to the basket. She can shoot, knock down the three. We know what she can do, but I think the best thing and one of the things that she's needed most for this team, from this team, is the way that she passes the ball.
Going over the 600 assist mark for her career here tonight, helping South Carolina to the 32-point lead here in the fourth quarter. Hasn't been a great shooting night for South Carolina, shooting 39% from the field, but the defense has been there from the start, holding Missouri to 25%. And again, we've hammered the rebounding margin, but one other part of the rebounding has been the offensive rebounds. 22 offensive rebounds for South Carolina.
Not much you can do when you're giving somebody 22 offensive rebounds, but even when you look at their points in the paint, 26 points in the paint, so coming off the 22 rebounds, 26 points. Some of it is even in the transition game.
Good block by Bree Beal, denying Blackwell. 8 blocks in the game for South Carolina. Battle for the loose ball, won by Blackwell. More good defense. Boston got in there. We impact that shot. And Me here goes all the way, and she has her shot blocked by Schutz. Brown runs back the other way for Mizzou. Three-pointer off the mark from Troop, and another rebound for South Carolina. Drea.
Well, I listened in on that last huddle, and Robin Pinchton told her team, I know it's hard to focus on the small things right now, but South Carolina averages over 90 points per game. She told them again, the small victories in our process matter. Let's finish strong defensively, guys.
Henderson can't hit. Me here. Can't get the putback. Boston for 2.
Boston and South Carolina to continue to dominate on the board. The position that they're able to get, the fact that they're taller and longer than this Mizzou team gives them a little bit of an advantage.
Define little bit.
A lot of advantage. I was trying to be nice.
You are. Blackwell. Good take to the basket by Haley Troop. First field goal for Troop. She's got 4 tonight. I don't think Dawn Staley is going to be thrilled with the shooting numbers tonight for South Carolina. 37% on the season. They're shooting 47%, but they've rebounded their misses, that's for sure, with 24 offensive rebounds.
Well, they've done a good job of continuing to fight. So, yes, you're shooting the ball not as well as you would have, but I think there's a lot that's happened, and even though you talk about the number 1 and you talk about the fact, oh, it doesn't affect us, sometimes it does have an effect on you.
Blackwell gets the hoop. She is into double figures with 11, and a timeout on the floor. We'll take it as well with 2:15 to go in the fourth, and South Carolina in control. So our Thursday in the SEC wrapping up in women's basketball. We can take a sneak peek at what's to come this Sunday. Auburn and Georgia idle tonight. They'll meet in Athens, 2 o'clock Eastern time on ESPNU. LSU gave Mississippi State a battle in Starkville, but they came up short. Mississippi State with a 64-60 win tonight. Kentucky very impressively over Texas A&M. A&M was without Kennedy Carter, so Carter did not dress, did not play, and Kentucky has won now 4 in a row. Ryan Howard with 24 points in their win over A&M today. Missouri will be taking on Ole Miss. Florida will be at College Station, and Arkansas, number 23 ranked team in the country, will be in Nashville to take on Vanderbilt. Tennessee with a 28-point road win over Florida today. Kentucky, as I mentioned, with the win over A&M. And here in Columbia and South Carolina on top, 73-41 with 2:15 to go in the fourth. Alyssa Wesselek has come into the game for South Carolina along with Olivia Thompson. Wesselek takes it at Blackwell, who rejects it.
Good defensive play by Blackwell, just being right there, able to get it out in the air.
Henderson to trigger the inbounds. Henderson drains a 3. 5 points for Destiny Henderson. South Carolina has 5 in double figures, but no one with more than 14 points. They have 3 in double figures when it comes to rebounding. 2 players with double doubles. Boston has 10 and 10. Saxton has 10 and 10. Me here gets whistled for the foul. That's going to be it for her. That's her 5th.
South Carolina, based on the numbers that you just said, South Carolina have done a great job of having a balanced scoring night. And even on the board, they've had a balanced rebounding night. But that's what makes them such a good team. We look at previous South Carolina teams, and, you know, some of the South Carolina teams have been dominated by just using the high-low to get the ball down low. But when you look at this team and you look at every single position, you pretty much have players that can knock down the 3, they can play in that mid-range game, they can post up. I mean, you have a jack of all trades, and you have players that can do more than just one thing.
Wesselek gets called for the offensive foul. So it'll be Missouri basketball. What weaknesses, if any, do you see with South Carolina?
Well, I think the biggest thing early on, Mizzou did a really good job of forcing them to knock down those open shots. They can't hit those shots, and if they can't get those rebounds, if a team can come in and actually match them height for height, pound for pound, they might struggle a little bit there. But I think they do a great job of figuring out how to play with each other, and that's the thing that kept them in the game early.
Frank can't hit for 3, and Brissett comes away with the rebound. That'll be a big test coming up on Monday for South Carolina. They will be at home, which has been a great venue for the Gamecocks, as Brissett will head to the free throw line. Colonial Life Arena again leading the nation in attendance, over 10,000 a game, as Frank picks up the foul. They will be hosting 10th ranked Mississippi State coming up on Monday. 14 straight road wins for Mississippi State. South Carolina will not get that 94 points today, obviously, so that average will come down before that Monday matchup. We've been impressed by Rickea Jackson for Mississippi State. Jordan Danbury is a veteran who's had showdowns with South Carolina in the past, so we'll see how the Bulldogs will handle that road trip to Columbia coming up on Monday. Blackwell still playing hard.
And you gotta love it. That's why there's still Tigers fans here. They love watching this team play, and they're not just gonna roll over and die. They continue to play in the second half. They come out strong. South Carolina is just such a dominant team.
Thompson launches, can't get it, and here comes Blackwell. Blackwell, little doubt what was going to happen there. Straight to the basket for 2 more. 13 points for Blackwell to go along with 6 rebounds, and South Carolina does not have to shoot. Well, after that slow start in the first quarter, Dawn Staley's team wins their first game as the #1 team in the country here during the 2019-2020 season. 78-45 the final here in Columbia tonight.
South Carolina just doing a really good job tonight. Though they didn't start the game strong early, they finished the game strong, and you just saw them pick up momentum that second quarter. Strong quarter by all their players. They came out, they were locked in, they were ready to play, and you could tell Dawn, whatever she said in between that first and second quarter, got their attention. They came out, they executed, and that's something that even as they finished the game, every single player that came in followed through.
5 players in double figures for South Carolina. Herbert-Harrigan and Cook leading the way with 14 each. 2 with double-doubles. Aaliyah Boston, 10 points, 10 rebounds. Victoria Saxton off the bench, 10 points and 10 rebounds as South Carolina improves to 17-1 on the season and 5-0 in the SEC. And here is Dawn Staley with Drea.
Coach, you talked to me a little bit at halftime about offensive flow. How would you say your team did in the second half?
They did all right. They did all right. You know, I thought we just made poor decisions at times where either we're charging into them or we're just not making the correct pass or taking the correct shot. So we got some things we need to clean up, but anytime you get a win on the road, and our confidence is always a good thing.
And you talked about some poor decisions, but you still had 5 players in double figures. How important is that balance for your team?
I mean, it's super important. It's not like one person that you can really key on to say, you know, this is we live or die with it. We spread it around. We do a great job at being unselfish and trying to find who's supposed to shoot the ball. But that's a ever-evolving process for us, and obviously it's the middle of the year. We got things we need to figure out.
And last thing, you all dominated the boards. How are you able to do that?
I mean, we got rebounders. We got people that pursue the basketball. They love the rebound, so that's something that's a little bit different than what we had in the past, where we maybe had 1 or 2 rebounders, but we got rebounding guards. We got post players who can elevate it and play above the rim, and that's, you know, it's a really good thing to have.
Coach, thank you. Eric, back to you.
Plus 31 in rebounding margin tonight for South Carolina as the Gamecocks get their 17th win of the season. They win it over Missouri tonight by a final score of 78-45. For Tamika Catchings and Drea Carter and our entire crew, I'm Eric Freed saying so long from Mizzou. Coming up next, it's gymnastics on the SEC Network.